Bill Goldberg is selfish. Yeah, you heard me. And to be honest, he's really ungrateful. I mean, guys would literally kill for a spot like that. Goldberg had a great send-off, and yet Goldberg still had something negative to say about how he went out. This guy is literally comparing himself to The Undertaker and John Cena. What does that tell you? What's up? It's yours truly, Flamin' Ricky DeRays. This is my reason as to why Goldberg is selfish. Before we get into all this craziness, please make sure to like and subscribe to the Wrestle Havoc channel right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content, and as the friggin' referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Okay, I'm gonna get straight into this Goldberg talk. I know I'm a little late with it, but you know what? Who cares? I'm still gonna talk about it. Of course, Goldberg wrestled his last match at the last Saturday night's main event against Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I'm gonna be straight up, I've been very vocal about this match simply because of the fact that the match was built for only 3 weeks. I mean, how do you have somebody like Goldberg come in out of nowhere and just challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship? To me, it was just kind of lazy. You could have easily told a story around Goldberg's career and Gunther, and instead WWE really went the lazy route. But I will say, I thought the Goldberg match at Saturday night's main event was great. It was phenomenal. And that is saying something because the match lasted well over 10 minutes. Now, of course, since this show is happening at Saturday night's main event, it's happening on network television. It is happening on NBC. And as you guys know, when you are on NBC, there's a strict time frame in which you need to end your show. And now in this case, WWE had to cut the cameras at 10 o'clock. Why is that? It's of course many of the different NBC affiliates need to air their local news. That's why it's called network TV. NBC and all the other different broadcast networks like CBS, ABC, and Fox are all the same thing. There's a strict time frame in which you need to end your show, and you need to end your show at that exact hour. Now I'm going to be the first one to say this right here and right now. One of my biggest criticisms for Saturday night's main event is the fact that there are so many fucking commercials on that show. Like, it's getting to the point where it's ridiculous. WWE goes to commercial break, then they come back to commercial break, only for 3 minutes later to go back to another commercial break. It's nauseating. And I know it drives a lot of you people crazy as well. But again, it's on NBC. Not to mention, after Gunther made Goldberg pass out, WWE immediately went back to another commercial break. And keep in mind, there was less than 5 minutes left until the program had to go off the air. And then of course we came back from commercial break and there was literally less than 2 minutes left of the program. And of course, right as soon as Goldberg was about to begin his farewell speech, WWE had to wrap it up and go off the air because it's on network television. It's on NBC. Now, I will say I was very frustrated when it came to that whole situation because again, this is Goldberg we're talking about. Say what you want about Goldberg, and I've said my fair share about Goldberg, and I will say my fair share about Goldberg in this video as well. But the guy's a legend. And in a sense, it did kind of feel disrespectful, but you can't really place the blame on WWE because again, there is a strict time frame on when WWE has to go off the air. Now, you can say WWE could have formatted the show a little bit differently, and that is a valid argument to make. But I will say this, if they had formatted the show differently, how different would have the Goldberg and Gunther match have been? Also, with the nature of Seth Rollins' injury, whether it's a work or a shoot, I genuinely believe it's real, but I may be totally wrong. Maybe you have to add that into consideration as well. But in this video, we are talking about Goldberg. Bill Goldberg, as Bret Hart would like to say. Bill Goldberg went on the Ariel Helwani Show and spilled the beans. And in typical Bill Goldberg fashion, he was pissed off about the way he went out. Goldberg stated this, and I quote, "I would have loved for them to announce it in January and have a build up to it and do something like that I thought maybe was worthy of my career. But let's just say that they chose to do it in 3 weeks notice. It is what it is. It's part of the package, part of the meal that you get dealt. And I would be remiss in thinking the meal would be different. But it's a shame on me for thinking it would be different. Don't you love the way I've been able to navigate my words?" Now, first off, I will say this. It would have been a stupid idea for WWE to announce Goldberg's retirement in January to build it up all the way to June. Or maybe build up to a Saturday night's main event in like May. Because again, Saturday night's main event is only happening 4 times a year on NBC. But it literally makes no sense for WWE to announce Goldberg's retirement in January for a future Saturday night's main event on another date. That is a couple of months after January. Why is that? Well, somebody else is going through their retirement tour. And that guy is, of course, John Cena. You think WWE is going to prioritize Goldberg over John Cena? I'm sorry, they are not. And we will talk about John Cena and other people that Goldberg mentioned later on in this video because a lot of what Goldberg said in this interview was very questionable. Continuing on with what he said on the Ariel Helwani Show, he stated this, and I quote, "Let's just say I'm pissed off at the way I went out because I put so much into it, and I don't feel the effort was reciprocated to put a stamp on what I accomplished. Again, I'm not going to say that I'm ecstatic about the opportunity I got. I was a WCW guy. I don't know, man. I think it could have been done a little bit differently. That's all. I'm happy with my performance. I'm happy with the setting, but could it have been better? Absolutely. It always can be better. Now, he mentions that he was a WCW guy. Yes, you were a WCW guy, but in no way, shape, or form WWE sabotaged you just because you were a WCW guy. Newsflash, WCW died well over 20 years ago. WCW is dead and gone, and nobody gives a shit anymore. I know I'm gonna upset a couple of fans, but let's be realistic with ourselves. Once WCW died, half of the wrestling audience dipped. He continued on in the interview, and he stated this, and I quote, "There's about 100 things that could have been better. I did 3 interviews beforehand. I did 3 in 6 months, you know? They cut me off 30 seconds into my speech, bro. You don't do that. But it's all good. It's all good. I know it is what it is. The match might have gone long, and the this and the that, and whatever it is. But I think it could have been a little classier prepared than it was. I'll just say that's a mild understatement. Come on, man. Again, you are on network TV. WWE has to go off the air. Not to mention, WWE didn't intentionally sabotage Bill Goldberg. If anything, right after Saturday Night's Main Event went off the air, WWE immediately posted Goldberg's farewell speech on their social media platforms. And by the way, that Goldberg farewell speech on social media has garnered millions of views. So what is the problem here? I don't see a guy like Sting complaining because he had a very similar instance with his last match as well. AEW had to go off the air when it came to their pay-per-view Revolution last year, and Sting cut a farewell speech after the pay-per-view went off the air, and AEW posted it on social media. So again, what is the problem here? Goldberg then continues on the Ariel Helwani Show. I'm not saying it was done on purpose by any stretch of imagination. I'm saying that it wasn't prepared for on purpose, that's all. They wouldn't do that to Taker, right? They're not going to do that to Cena. Cena's gone around the world doing his retirement thing. Now I'm going to stop right there. Why are you comparing yourself to John Cena and The Undertaker? You are not on the same level as John Cena and The Undertaker. I'm sorry. Yes, Goldberg was a big star in his heyday back in '98. If anything, he was lightning struck on a bottle. That's who Goldberg was. But then once Goldberg lost to Kevin Nash at Starrcade '98, Goldberg fizzled out in '99. Not to mention, when it comes to John Cena is literally the face of the WWE. When you think of WWE, you think of guys like John Cena. Also, when it comes to The Undertaker, he wasn't really given a farewell speech after his last match. His last match, ironically, was during the pandemic, in a cinematic match against AJ Styles. Yes, you can say his Hall of Fame speech was essentially his farewell speech, but that was the Hall of Fame. I'm talking about his last match. But the point I'm trying to get across here is that the fact that he's comparing himself to John Cena and The Undertaker is completely ludicrous. Yes, Goldberg is a legend, and we should celebrate that. The fact that he goes on the Ariel Helwani Show and just immediately throws shade on his last match is ridiculous. Because I'm gonna be honest, his last match was actually pretty good. Everybody was curious about how long Goldberg could last in a 10+ minute match, and I was one of those people. But I will say, Goldberg held his own and he looked great in the process. There was really nothing to be ashamed of. He's pissed off at the fact that he got cut off. Doesn't realize he's on network TV. Yes, WWE could have formatted the show better, but if they had formatted the show differently, don't you think the Gunther and Goldberg match would have been a little bit different than what we actually saw, for better or for worse? Again, the match was fantastic. If anything, it was one of Goldberg's best matches in this recent run. In my opinion, Goldberg's last great match was WrestleMania 33 against Brock Lesnar, and I stated this on my podcast. That match was great because it literally redeemed not only Goldberg, but also Brock Lesnar from the debacle that was their match at WrestleMania 20 in 2004. A lot of people tend to say that when Goldberg wrestles long matches, he tends to get exposed. And this match was long for a Goldberg match. But if anything, Gunther carried Goldberg throughout the entirety of that match. That's what makes Gunther great. Gunther is so good at making others look phenomenal. Not to mention, this match was well over 10 minutes. Like, there wasn't a lot that Goldberg got exposed of, and that's a good thing. Continuing on with what he stated on the Ariel Helwani Show, he stated this, and I quote, "Mine was just a World Heavyweight Championship match. And to be honest, I'm gonna catch hell for this. I don't care. I've had World Heavyweight matches all the time. That doesn't do anything for me. It just felt a little to me." Now, I will say, this match being a world title match, I thought was very ludicrous. Again, WWE did take the lazy route when it came to this match. But let's be honest, if you're WWE, are you gonna prioritize John Cena's retirement, or are you gonna prioritize Goldberg's retirement? Goldberg is lucky that he got to go out the way that he did. And the fact that he went on the Ariel Helwani Show just a couple of days after his last match and talked shit about what went down was ridiculous. Now, he didn't talk negatively about Gunther. If anything, he talked positively about Gunther, and that's great. He put over a lot of people in that interview as well. It was actually a pretty well done interview. But the fact that he was quote unquote pissed off about how he went out, to me, was very ludicrous. Because again, a lot of people would die for a position that Goldberg had. He wanted this to be on a PLE. Bro, you are on NBC of all places. It is the biggest audience that you could showcase all of your work. And that's where a lot of people that don't watch wrestling go and tune in. NBC, network TV, one of the big four. NBC is a huge audience. WWE does not owe you anything, bro. Also, apparently Goldberg's deal is up in a couple of weeks from what it looks like. In this interview, he stated that it was 2 weeks, but since we're almost a week out of that interview, it's going to be a week. And he says that he was going to spill the beans on a lot of other things, which again, we do not know whether or not that's going to happen. But from what we saw at Saturday night's main event, I think it's pretty much safe to say that that was Goldberg's last match. I don't think he's going to go to AEW anytime soon. Why is that, you might add? Well, if you guys didn't know, Goldberg did meet up with Tony Khan, and Tony Khan spoke highly about Goldberg. Well, Goldberg, not so much. According to Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, AEW offered Goldberg a quote-unquote legitimate retirement run before he decided to go with the deal WWE presented. Not to mention, he called Tony Khan a little bit too cheesy for him, and he didn't like the AEW product. I don't think his last match is going to happen in AEW. I don't think he's even going to go to AEW. Simply put, if Tony Khan spoke highly about Goldberg, meanwhile Goldberg is on podcasts talking negatively about Tony Khan and AEW, you think AEW is going to open up that door for Goldberg? Yeah, hell no. Now, I may be totally wrong, but that's just me. At the end of the day, Goldberg sounds selfish. He sounds very self-centered, and he doesn't really look at the overall nature of things. And that is my biggest takeaway when it came to this whole Ariel Helwani interview that he conducted. And it really does suck because, again, Goldberg had a great last match. You know, I expected the match to be at least a little over 5 minutes, but if anything, the match was well over 10 minutes. It was crazy. And again, Gunther made this guy look like $1 million. Not to mention, the entire Saturday night's main event show was dedicated to Goldberg. The entirety of Saturday night's main event was dedicated towards a homegrown WCW wrestler. They aired video packages left and right about Goldberg. Bro, WWE went all out. Now, I will say, with the build to this match, don't you think they could have done better with it? Yeah, they could have. But again, WWE is going to prioritize John Cena's retirement over Goldberg's. I'm sorry. That's just the nature of the beast. WWE did everything that they could to make Goldberg look like $1 million. And Goldberg literally shat all over it. That is the biggest takeaway that I can give you when it comes to this. It's honestly embarrassing. And this is coming from somebody who literally did the bare minimum in his peak. The bare minimum. I hate to say it, but it's the truth. I guarantee you Bret Hart is going to have a field day with this.
Bill Goldberg.
But yeah, that was my video on Goldberg. I know it was a little late, but who cares? I still talked about it. Please like, subscribe, comment down below, push that bell for notifications. I'm going to look out for more videos right here on the Wrestle Havoc channel, which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the friggin' free would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. As always, it is yours truly, Flamin' Ricky DeRays, signing out. I'll see you guys all in the next video. Peace.